Hola a todos y bienvenidos a Hola Ola. Spanish is always known as a very phonetic language because the pronunciation is pretty much always the same. We have one letter and one sound. So each letter has a sound and each sound has a letter. However, there are exceptions. And this is what we're going to see in this video. I will refer to the letters using their Spanish names so that you get used to it. The explanation will always be in English, but remember that when I'm mentioning the letter, I'm using the Spanish name. I will say la A and not the A. Generally, each letter has a sound and each sound has a letter. But as we said before, there are some exceptions. Let's go with exception number 1. The sound B, for example, vacaciones, holidays, or barco, boat. It can be represented by both letters, B and V. We make no difference in sound in between these two letters in Spanish. The other sound that can be represented by more than one letter is this sound. It's like a stronger H in English. We will find this sound in these combinations. Ja, je, ji, jo, ju. Ja, as in, for example, Jamaica. Je, as in Jerusalem, but also Argentina. Ji, as in Jiménez, but also Gibraltar. Jo, as in San Jose. Ju, as in Juárez. Notice that the letter jota always has this sound, and that the letter G, when it's followed by E or I, can also have this sound. With E and I, sometimes words are written with G, and sometimes they are written with jota. There is no rule here, you just have to learn the word. The sound G, practice it yourself, G. This soft G that you can find in a word like Bogotá, Bogotá. This sound, we will find it in these combinations. Ga, ge, gi, go, gu. Ga, as in Tegucigalpa. Ge, as in San Miguel. Gi, as in Berazategui. Go, as in Bogotá. Gu, as in Guatemala. Notice that before E and I, we find this combination, G plus U. Here the U is silent, we don't pronounce it. The only case in which the U is pronounced is when it has an umlaut. For example, in these words, bilingüe, linguista. In these cases, I am pronouncing the letter U because it has an umlaut. The other sound that will be represented by more than just one letter is the sound K, this strong sound. We will find it in these combinations. Ka, ke, ki, ko, ku. Ka as in Acapulco or America. Ke as in Querétaro or Neuquén. Ki as in Quito or Barranquilla. Ko as in Colombia. And ku as in Ecuador. When we have the sound ka, ko, ku, it's always written with the letter se. We will also find this sound at the end of a syllable. For example, pacto. Pacto means pact in English. And I have two syllables. Pacto. It's at the end of the first syllable, so it has this strong sound. K, pacto. The letter Q always goes followed by a silent U and can only have after that an I or an E. You will find this in other words, for example, qué, what, or quién, who. The other sound in which we can find one sound and more than one letter representing that same sound is the sound S. This sound S will be represented by the letter S. Sa, se, si, so, su. For example, San Salvador, San José, Brasil, El Paso, Sucre. Whenever we have a letter S, we will have this S sound. However, this same sound can be represented by the letter Z. It can also be represented by this combination, C, like in Belice, and C, like in Cincinnati or Ciudad de México. So the letter C that before had this strong sound, K, when it was followed by A, O, or U, will have this S sound when it's followed by E or E. Another very important thing to have into account is that this sound S for the letter Z and for the letter C followed by E or E will have a different pronunciation in some regions in Spain. So instead of using a S sound, they will use a F sound. And finally, the most controversial sound in Spanish, R. Many students, many people who are learning Spanish have a difficulty with the rolling R. It's just a matter of practice, so if you're having any trouble with this, don't worry, just practice. This R sound, we will find it when we have the letter R by itself at the beginning of a word. For example, República Dominicana. It has a strong sound, right? R. República Dominicana. It will have also this sound when it's by itself after the following consonants. N, like in Enrique, after the consonant S, Israel, and after the consonant L, alrededor. The other case in which we will find this strong sound is when it's in the middle of a word. But in this case, we will not find only one R. We will find two, a double R, una doble R. For example, perro, which means dog, or carro, which means car. So in these cases, when it's in the middle of a word, we will find una doble R, a double R that will also have this R strong sound. We can also find a different sound, a softer one, R. For example, when we have the letter R by itself in the middle of a word, caro, pero, Honduras. We can also find it when we have it at the end of a word. For example, San Salvador. In these cases, the sound is softer. Something very important to have into account is that the difference between a soft sound and a strong sound with the letter R can make a difference in meaning. Look at these words. Caro, which means expensive, and carro, which means car. Pero, which means but, and perro, which means dog. So if you think that it's not important how you pronounce your R, think it again. As you may know, the letter H is silent in Spanish. We say el hotel, the hotel. However, when the letter H is after the letter C, we will find that these two letters, C, I, H, make one sound. They make this sound, ch, like chat in English. You can find this in these words, chocolate, noche. So the only case in which we're going to have a pronunciation with the letter H, it's when it's before the letter C. That's it. If not, it will always be silent, even when you can find it in the middle of the word, like in zanahoria, carrot, almohada, pillow, albahaca, basil, always silent. And that's how we reach the end of this video. I know it might sound a little bit hard, too much grammar, but don't worry. The idea is to have the information accessible for you to check or to consult whenever you need it. You will see that as you hear, as you speak, as you read, these sounds will become more and more familiar, and it will really help you to understand the Spanish language. Please leave in the comments if you have any doubts or suggestions. I'd love to hear as well which words do you struggle with or which pronunciation for you is the hardest. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos, and I hope to see you really soon. Thank you for watching and hasta la próxima. Adiós!